New Year, good girls. I'm SJ here with my co-host Kay to talk about all of the latest news in Smut world and just generally being good girls in a terrible, terrible world. I was talking to a friend today and they were like, oh yeah, so my feed is all basically like what's happening in the Twin Cities right now with a mix of Venezuela thrown in and heated rivalry for some reason. And I was like, mine too, to be honest.
Dark and positive.
And not saying that we shouldn't talk about those things, but that's a different podcast. So today in Relevant News Stories, the good girls will be covering breaking news around heated rivalry as we all finished up a glorious first season of a beautifully done show.
Yes, this is about cognitive offloading, and then we
Yes.
can onload when we open the news.
Yeah,
And get
there are other
distressed.
podcasts for you to cognitively onload. So cognitively offload with us for the next half hour or so, good girls. And I think we decided to start out. I was enjoying all of the social media posts about women being like, oh yeah, me and all of the things that I learned about hockey from watching a full season of heated rivalry. I'm definitely one of those girlies because I do not care for sports, or at least not the recreational watching of them. My favorite sweatshirt is a I hope both teams have fun shirt. So
That is not my favorite sweatshirt.
yeah,
Over here we have
Kay, certified hockey mom and follower of some sports teams. So Kay and Mr. K have prepared some questions for me, I believe, about hockey to find out how much I learned from my hockey smut binging.
So, starting off, how long is the average hockey shift in the NHL? So, on average, how long do the players stay on the ice and play before they take a break?
Oh, I feel like it's very cardio heavy. So I'm gonna say like, is this of game time or like total time? It's like of game clock
So,
time,
this
right?
is you go on the ice, you're playing, you're trying to
Yeah.
make a goal, and then you go back on your bench to rest.
Yeah.
How long does that
I'm gonna
shift?
say like 9 minutes.
40 to 60 seconds. They're 40 to 60 seconds. No more than 60 seconds for sure because of how tiring it is.
Having ice skated before, I do feel this.
So Mr. K, longtime hockey player, I joke
Mhm.
that he brings that mentality into bed where he's like, quick shifts, come on, we're gonna get it done, we're gonna get it finished, I gotta go back to my bench. And it's like, no, let's think about more like a soccer shift. We're gonna take our time a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do not need to finish in 60 seconds.
Mr. SJ was a baseball player, so I don't really know what that means other than
That's
maybe it's
hours,
more of a
more
skills thing.
elite.
Leisurely skills-based exercise than like an athletic event.
I'm gonna give it my all, then I'm gonna be off for 60 seconds.
Yes.
So,
Would you say that Mr. K has a hockey butt? Because that's like really the
for
only.
sure.
Ooh,
Oh my gosh,
and
for
that's
sure.
why
Yeah.
she's so satisfied. All right, I got that one wrong. So zero points so far.
So, what muscle is used the most in hockey?
Ooh, well, I guess maybe glutes because of the hockey butt. No, you're making a face.
It's,
So I'm
it's
gonna say.
along on there. Sorry.
Oh, I'm gonna say. Well, the first thing that came to mind was quads.
Yes,
Just having skated
yeah.
before. Oh,
It's
good.
actually the quads. They got massive quads, but then yes, the glutes as well. Okay, so players can fight each other in hockey, but to
Yes, my favorite
start a
part.
fight, the players in the fight must first.
Ooh, like.
So the ref is okay with
Like
it as long as they
3 put-ups
first.
for every 1 put down, and that's not it. As long as they first
What's
put
their way
their
of showing that they're agreeing to the fight?
rip their shirts off, I don't know.
No, their gloves. They both have to take their gloves off. So if one player takes their gloves off and the other doesn't, then they can't start the fight. If
Is
they
it
both
like
take their gloves.
like, slapping the other knight across the face with your
Yes,
gauntlet
exactly.
to
It's like
declare,
indicating I'm also
I
in.
declare this duel?
Yeah.
Okay, I would think, though, that having the gloves on would make it, like, less destructive, though, because the gloves are cushy. So, like, I feel like taking the gloves off in boxing is a reference to, like, now I'm really gonna fuck you up. So, I'm confused by that, but I'm glad that they have consent because consent matters.
Is there a rule about how long an NHL stick can be? How long
Ooh,
the
this
shaft
sounds like
can.
a euphemism. So I'm gonna say no rule. No, I'm
Yes,
like,
there
oh wait, there aren't any rules. I mean, I just feel like physically at a certain point, it wouldn't help you. And I mean this both in terms of male genitalia and hockey sticks. After a certain point, extra length doesn't seem like it's helping you. Like you're just gonna end up like chin chucking yourself with your stick because they have to kind of lean over. I don't
That's
know.
fair that it would at some point be a disincentive, but there
It'd
is
be
a
like a
rule about
wizard
how
staff.
long.
That's always a rule. Okay. Okay.
And then last question is how many out gay players does the NHL have?
Oh, I know this, and it's zero.
It is 0. And so going right into heated rivalry.
So well, that was like 1 point for me, I guess. I'm gonna give myself a point on the quads there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All
Here, I
right.
can give you one, true or false. Hockey pucks are frozen before the game.
Oh, why would you freeze them? I'm gonna say true because that seems like a weird question that you would ask if that wasn't
If
a
you
thing that you
didn't
do.
freeze them, they'd be too crazy on the ice. So you freeze a
Oh,
hockey
I
puck
was thinking
before a
more that they
game.
would crack, kind of like how you like temper things before you put them in like heat or cold. You have to like bring them up to that temperature gradually. But okay, that's also a good reason. Thank you. I feel affirmed and like I learned a lot and probably more than I learned about hockey from heated rivalry. But I was satisfied in so many other ways. So let's get into this show. TV adaptation of Rachel Reid's Game Changer series, which, full disclosure, neither Kay nor I has read yet. We do feel like that will be a future episode once we get caught up after our other smut reading.
I have read many other hockey romance
Yeah,
ones.
and so
This
I
is
think
just not one of
this is a
them.
bit of a comparative literature analysis as well. So I just finished watching season 1, which just wrapped, and Kay, you have not watched the show yet,
Not
right?
at all.
So I'm here to educate you about it. This is a Canadian show, and it earned Critics' Choice nominations. I think the 2 stars from the show are going to be co-presenting at the Golden Globes, which is
Oh,
super for them.
that's
They're
really
not
fun.
Emmy eligible because the Emmy eligibility criteria is that it has to have a significant US stake in the production, and this was a completely Canadian show.
I didn't even know that about the Emmys. I didn't realize that they
Yeah,
had
I guess it
best.
kinda makes sense when you think about it because when you watch the Emmys, it is mostly, but I guess there are some examples. Like Schitt's Creek, for example, did win Emmys, but that one was co-produced and had US stakes, and this one kind of I don't think.
So it's fully Canadian? That's
Yeah, and
super
I don't think that
interesting.
I think part of it is that they weren't expecting it to maybe be such a big hit. It's still not available, for example, in the UK, and they're working to bring it there, and so we can talk about it in this episode. There is a lot of this talk, and you gave Black Panther before as an example of it seems like a lot of the powers that be that produce this stuff, when they do make an attempt to make something that seems like it's not just about like
Nobody's gonna wanna watch a guy and
hetero
guy
white
romance
characters.
on
Yeah,
screen.
exactly. So when they make something like Black Panther, that was another example. There was
Yeah,
just like
a
this idea
Marvel
that's like,
that's
oh, who's
superhero
gonna
is
want to
black.
watch this? It's gonna be so niche because like only Black people are gonna want to watch a superhero show about a
No,
Black
people
Panther.
absolutely did.
And then
Yeah.
people loved it. And so it seems like Heated Rivalry was a lot of the same thing that they thought it would be very niche. I'm looking at my daughter's across the room K-pop Demon Hunters posters. I feel like that was another one where it was produced with very little expectation. You know, Netflix just churns out movies to the extent that they didn't do any merchandising agreements before they produced it. And then it became such a hit that they were actually kind of like struggling to come out with
Yeah.
costumes and dolls and things like that. So it does seem like
And
people.
people who haven't watched it, I was on a meeting and I heard somebody say they must be tricking the algorithm to make it that it looks like so many people are watching this K-pop movie. And I'm like, no, no, no. Trust me, if you have
They
any kid
they
or
are
you know it,
watching.
yeah, they are watching again and again and again.
My family's
Yeah.
streaming account is responsible for approximately 1/2 of a million views alone. Yes,
Definitely had like 100 views.
they are watching this. Yeah, and I feel like maybe people would feel the same way about Heated Rivalry. But having watched it, I feel like it's just such a great show, and I actually was hearing the 2 main characters, the actors playing them, doing an interview, and this really reflects back to the episode that we did with Lucas, an author of of gay romance, and he was saying, we were talking about kind of this phenomenon that actually the largest fan base for male-male gay romance is straight women. And they were reflecting on why they think that is, or why this was so highly regarded among straight women. And I mean, I think we're just a bigger group. So even if it's like a higher
A
percent
bigger
of gay
group
men
of
are
romance
watching the
readers.
show, but like we are just a bigger group by numbers, even if a smaller percentage of us are watching, I think that there's also just like a lot of stuff to explore. This is what the actors were saying that can kind of go beyond some of the tropes that we're getting tired of in straight romance. Cause like, there's only so many tropes we can do. And we talked about this with Lucas too, that some of the barriers that they have of like, why can't the characters just see each other, like each other, and get together immediately? You have to have some kind of story arc. There's a lot more options there when you have a queer couple.
Yeah, what I had also found is that, like, the actual love story, like, gay romances, they are love stories, and some of them are really, really, really beautiful love
Yeah.
stories, and so while the scenes didn't do it for me, the actual love story made me cry full tears at the end, which a lot of, male-female romances don't do for me. Um
Yeah. I think that I still thought that the sex scenes were hot in the way that, like, anything that's really well produced, well written, with really hot people in it is still like, I was like, all right, like, this is hot. I think that that they did a great job. I think that that is a testament to Jacob Tierney, as and a lot of people gave him props for how well he set this all up. I think it's like excellently cast. The intimacy coordinator, whoever they are, did an amazing job. I think the actors both did an amazing job. And I think the one that I mentioned on a previous episode, but some of the random things that have nothing to do with the actual storyline of the show or core content, but Connor Story, who plays Ilya Rozanov, is not Russian. He's just like an American. I don't know, maybe he's Canadian. But he is just like a Westerner. And I was very intrigued just listening to him that he is speaking Russian. I mean, obviously, I'm not a Russian speaker, but I'm like, man, how hard people work to produce this show that just comes across as very effortless. That guy must have spent months, or else is some kind of genius that he must have spent months learning how to make his Russian sound convincing. And also, I guess they have to like learn how to play hockey convincingly enough. Although I know that at least Hudson Williams, who plays the other lead, that he is Canadian. So I'm guessing he
They
must have
ice
grown up
skate as
paying.
part of their gym classes there. Like
Yes. And I did see him on Fallon. He was showing Jimmy Fallon, like, some of the stretches that they do. He's like, "Oh, I spent a lot of time doing this," and he gets, like, down on all fours, and he's like, "No, I mean, like, let me show you some hockey player stretches here."
Oh my
And
gosh, how a goalie stretches is crazy.
yeah, I mean, he was just, like, all kinds of things where he's just kinda, like, kneeling down and thrusting his hips around, and I thought, not for the first time, why are sports people so homophobic? Because there is just, like, so much stuff in sports that is, like, ripe for gayness, you
Oh my
know? I
gosh,
mean,
football is so
just these,
touchy.
like,
Yeah.
limber, sweaty, attractive men that are all, like, grappling with each other. Football is another example. Kay knows. I sent you that video of this
How
European
football
guy.
players, like, teabag each other.
Yeah, it's like this European guy going to a football game, for the first time, and he's like, "I don't understand what's going on." He's like, "But it's so exciting to watch." He's like, "I just really liked watching this guy get teabagged by these other guys."
And then, like, the slow motion replay of them in, like, their tight pants and,
I
like,
know, and I'm
the
like, "Oh, they
short.
totally are teabagging each other." Like, this is what.
Women would not like to be in such a tight pile
I
together
don't
as
want
men
to.
would.
Yeah, I'm just like, maybe we should all be okay with the fact that, like, you're maybe a little bit gay, and that's, like, something that we should just be able to talk about more. But yeah, anyway, so lots of, beautiful scenes with beautiful men. I actually really liked the, romance with Scott and Kip the most, at least as far as, like, the cute, romance storyline, and I think maybe that was because they were more of, like, the meet cute, they meet and, like, Kip's working in the Jamba Juice, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I think he's flirting with me," but, like, that's Scott Hunter, he's a hockey player, you know, he can't be gay, and then they also, spoiler alert, obviously, if you haven't watched the show yet and you don't want spoilers, you gotta come back to this episode later. But they are the ones that come out before the show before season 1 ends, and it is just, like, the cutest way that all of America's hearts melted that Scott Hunter's team wins the whatever the show's version of the Stanley Cup is. And he calls his boyfriend Kip out on the ice, which they've been like completely secret before this. And he's like, "Who? Me? You want me to come out?" And the announcers are like, "I don't know. He's like calling this fan down on the
Oh.
ice." And he's like, "Yeah, come on
Yeah.
out." Because Kip is his boyfriend is like an art history PhD student or something. So he's like out and hangs out at a gay bar.
And
But
definitely
they've
would
been like,
not normally be at a Stanley Cup
yeah,
game.
exactly. So he keeps like the funny thing on the show is he keeps like making them put on hockey games at his gay bar that he hangs out at, and they're like, "Oh, whatever." So he like calls Kip out on the ice and then kisses him in front of millions of fans and comes out that way. And that was just like a heartwarming episode, and also then kind of like prompts the other two characters, Shane and Elia, to like think about maybe we could live in a world where we could also come out. Which apparently is not accurate to real life, because I read an article that was an interview.
NHL is very homophobic.
Yes,
Yeah.
I read an interview with Brock McGillis, who is the first openly gay hockey player. No hockey player has ever come out,
And
like
he
you
did
said.
ultimately make it to the NHL, and he thinks part of the reason for that was
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. Um, I had to look all this up, obviously, because I can name like 3 hockey players, and so far those ones are not gay. But yeah, he came out after his retirement, and he said that the show does do a good job. He's like, episode 1 where they're texting each other under aliases, and there's like a slow build for the 2 characters because they meet before they are even drafted in the NHL. And so they start hooking up secretly and just hooking up. And then it goes on over 8 years where they're always crossing paths. And when they're in the
Mhm.
same city, they have these steamy hookups. But then by the end of season 1, they are in love and hanging out together at Shane's little summer cottage, which low key was the 5th hottest thing after those 2 couples. That cottage, I wanted to fuck that cottage. I was like, first of all, not a cottage. Second of all, may I have some real estate in Canada, please? But anyway, so
Was it like a lake cottage?
oh,
It had
yeah, it's,
the
like, on
most
a beautiful
beautiful lake.
Canadian lake, and then there's, like, these beautiful men, like, in their little tighty shorts, like, jumping around in it, and it just had, like, huge glass windows, and it was decorated by, I'm sure, like, a very expensive decorator with expensive stuff, so, man. That I will save for later for our sentient objects, Smut episode.
Fucking a cottage.
Fucking a cottage.
A door, a cottage. It's all there.
Just really taking my, like, obsession with, like, beautiful pictures of houses on Instagram to the next level. Anyway, Brock McGillis, they interviewed him in Pink News about this, and he was responding to a former hockey pro who now writes romance stuff named Sean Avery, and Avery says, like, "Oh, maybe the show is gonna, like, help people come out." And McGillis says, like, "That's probably BS, because maybe it could help people who are, like, around closeted hockey players or dating them to understand what they're facing." But he's like, first of all, the real problem people like the hockey bros, the toxic masculinity types, they're not watching this show. If they do, he's like, they're not going to have a positive reaction. It's not going to be like, "Oh, wow, that opened my mind." And he says, when I came out in 2016 and did interviews, nobody jumped out of the closet. Nobody's like, "Oh, yeah, this came out and now I'm ready." It's not happening. So I will say that, like, it seems like the show, and I don't blame them because it's a romance, it's a feel good. It's not supposed to be like a true crime documentary. It does feel a little bit rosy. And for example,
There's yeah, a
like
lot of gay slurs in hockey and
yeah, that was another thing that McGillis pointed out is he's like, I think that the show could have done a better job of capturing just the general atmosphere of homophobia in the locker room. And I will actually say my experience being more watching stuff like this and not being around actual hockey was in the show, I did kind of feel like, why don't you just come out? Like, I was like, surely there are like lots of other gay hockey players and gay sports players by now. And if you just like came out, like, come on, people. I mean, I guess by the time the show gets to like the end of season 1, they're only as far as like 2017, 2018. So it's a few years ago. I live in my, like nonprofit, like community organizing world where we're just all, like gender affirming and asking people's pronouns and stuff. And sometimes I think I forget that, like, it's probably a bit different from the rest of the
yeah.
world.
I was talking to a colleague who went to Mississippi to visit family over their break, and he's like, even like the most liberal people that I was talking to in Mississippi, and he's like, I'm talking like very liberal by, like, their standards, self-described, were like, slavery really wasn't that bad. Like, if you look at their lives, they
Yeah.
weren't that bad. And he's like, yeah, I think that people generally don't like to be owned by other people. Can we all agree on that? He's like, there's just different levels. So I do wonder how much is our Maryland perception versus like how the
Yeah.
rest of the world feels about it.
And, like, the sectors that you and I both work in and things. And also, I'm sure not being here ourselves that, like, sometimes there's even microaggressions in our, like, happy little progressive world that go unnoticed by us, but you would still definitely feel. But I did notice that about the show that it was, like, I think, like, maybe even Ted Lasso did a better job as a show because there was, like, that, storyline for a little bit about the guy who was gay. I can't
I was
remember
thinking
any of
about
their
him,
names.
Colin.
Colin,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, I think that that did a better job of just, like, showing why he didn't wanna come out, and there was this casual homophobia from his teammates that even once he came out, for the most part, they were like, "Oh, sweet, like, we love you, we
We
support
had no
you."
problem.
But
Yeah.
they just, like, casually throw these terms around, and it made it this really, uninviting environment for him to be honest about himself, and kind of tracks with what McGillis says, that he is like, "I actually feel like hockey would be because of the team environment on a hockey team," he's like, "Hockey players would be the most, like, coming around you to
Supportive.
support you if you did come out as a hockey player," and I was like, "That's a very interesting," you know, his experience at one end, and then at the other end, him saying, like, "Oh, but if there was a sport where players came out, hockey would actually be the best," which I guess is like, it's the
Yeah,
best
and it
of.
began to fist fights for them and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does make me laugh. So Extra K has cheetah print ice skate protectors that he uses, so they
Mhm.
look very flamboyant.
Mhm.
But because it's because he got them on like extreme sale, they were like 75% off because it's such a masculine sport that
He's like,
nobody was
"I'm
like,
so straight that I didn't even notice what pattern was on them and just wanted the cheapest
yeah,
protectors."
he's like, now that I'm playing with a new team, I am kind of like hiding my skate protectors a little bit.
I think that there is still a lot of positive things that have come out of this. I've seen in a couple different places. Hudson Williams, who plays Shane Hollander, I saw a clip where he said a bunch of current athletes who are not out have reached out to him. Either that a lot of them had reached out to Rachel Reid and she's been putting them in touch with Hudson Williams, or they've been messaging him on Instagram and saying, "Hey, thank you." I mean, and I kind of appreciate that it's like at least this story is
Oh,
out there.
yeah.
Like, it's a good first step. Like, is it gonna change the world? No, but is it a good story to tell? And is it maybe making some kind of dent in the world? At least, like, making people feel like some little piece of their story is being heard. So I thought that
Yay.
that
That's
must be,
very
like, a really
sweet.
nice experience for him. You asked me, Kay, how many of the current players on the NHL are out. I actually saw a statistic of how many of the rostered players across all of the big 5 leagues are out. So that's about 4,600 people in total. And how many of them would you guess are currently out as gay? This is all the men's leagues.
5.
So close. It is 0.
What?
0! Isn't
Are
that
you
wild? And
serious?
again, like, this is just my little I'm like, "Oh, surely if you were,
Whoa.
like, gay and played sports, like, you could
I
come
thought
out and there'd be,
football
like."
had one,
Maybe it did at one point. So this
but
was,
then yeah, but
as of September 24, which was the last time that Outsports reported this
oh,
data. So this is currently rostered players across the so-called Big
that
5
tells you
leagues.
so much. I
And NHL is a standout among the Big 5, as never having had a current or former player come out while on the roster. So they're
okay.
like the doing the worst of the worst. So I don't know, Brock McGillis, how much support there would be from your team, but you were the one on a team, so I believe you. And Luke Prokop was another one who came out in minor league hockey, but again, I guess similar. He was the first one to come out while on a roster for a hockey team, but also never has as of yet not made it out of the minors. I don't know if he's still
Whoa.
playing.
So, switching over to just hockey romance in general,
Like, why is
and
it such a big thing?
so if you compare, like, how big NHL is to how big NFL is, so much smaller, like, it makes, like, I think 1/5 the revenue.
Which is surprising because it's such an expensive sport.
But why is it popular? And kind of like, subconsciously there's thoughts that authors are more likely to write white on white characters and white on white romances, and it's like subconsciously or consciously readers are more likely to pick up
Mhm.
a book that is white on white, and hockey is compared to the other sports
Makes it very
very,
easy to
very
set that
white.
up because
Yeah, you can't have an NFL team or MLB team where you're saying realistically that the majority of the players are white. And in
yeah.
hockey, it is very much so the case that on many of the teams.
It is also, I noticed, not knowing a lot about hockey, that does make sense to me. But I noticed that the actor who plays Shane Hollander is half Asian. And that was like a news story that people were like, oh my gosh. And I don't know if that was the case in the books or not, or if that was just like the casting. They were like, ooh, diversity hire. And, like people talking about that, whether that made them feel negative or positive. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
well,
gosh. And what's funny is that Mile High by Liz Tomforde, is a super popular hockey romance, and actually the main character in it the main guy character in it is Black, and the main female character is Black, but I have to
oh,
say, when I was reading it, it was so ingrained in me that hockey player equals white, that it took me
oh,
to,
you
like, a
kept picture.
third of the book in to realize, like, there's no way that this character is white, and that they are both Black, and by the way,
But it's not
Mile
like
High
mentioned
by
on
Liz
page one.
Tomforde is so hot. Like, highly,
Yes.
highly recommend. She is excellent at writing hot books. And also, Elle Kennedy's off-campus series, Garrett Graham, might be one of the hottest main male leads out there in terms of, like, sports romance characters, and that is, like, a college hockey romance series, and he's so popular that there wasn't only, like, a full series around, like, the off-campus series with Garrett Graham, but there's even one of, like, his child then goes to college and
Oh,
starts dating
wow.
hockey players and
And
everything,
is
and that's
that, like,
also
set in the
popular.
future or something, or was this
Yeah, it's,
book
like, 20 years future, so it has to be, like, a little bit, like, 5 years too far in the future, but it was
yeah.
so popular that it's getting turned into a series by either Prime or Netflix, off-campus
Oh,
series.
wow.
Yeah, and, I have to say that who they picked for Garrett Graham, I'm like, that's not who I imagined for
That's always
that
the
guy."
problem though, right? And I kind of like that in this case, that I watched the series first. One, because I've heard a lot of people say that it's a very faithful adaptation of the books, but also I think if I know going into it that it is a good adaptation of the books, then I want to see the series first, because then I'm just picturing like whoever they cast as the characters in my head when I do go to read the books, versus if I've, like you said, like formed my own picture in my head of who this person looks like, I could be
Yeah,
disappointed.
and this was not like I formed my picture based off of Elle Kennedy's wonderful description of how Garrett Graham looked, and he was extremely hot with a dimple and blue eyes and black straight hair, and that was, like, closely cut, and this guy is not that, and I'm
Does
like
he, like, not even have
just,
those
like,
basic
curly
physical
hair, and he also
features?
just seems, like, short, and, like, it's fine to be short. It is completely fine to be short. But, like,
For
Garrett
you.
Graham was like a hockey center. Like, if you're a hockey center,
They're
you're a big
tall.
guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I also feel like there's enough actors out there, especially if you're describing features that are not completely rare, it's not like you are creating some fantasy universe where you're like, "Oh, he had, like,
There
red
was
hair and purple eyes,"
yeah.
and,
There is a male actor out there with
there
black
was
hair
somebody
who
out there
exists.
who could
Yeah.
have fit this role, so this leads to questions about how faithfully they're sticking to the book if they can't even, check those basic boxes of, like, all of the fans of this book have formed a picture in their head of this guy with the blue eyes and the black hair and whatnot.
Yeah, and if you're ever looking for, like, easy release in a romance series, the Vancouver Agitated series by Megan Quinn is just, like, sexy book after sexy book after sexy book. Like, every
Ooh,
single one in there, because she did
I've
it
read
that there's, like,
something by
5
her.
books and, like, every
Uh-huh,
single person on the team eventually gets matched up.
obviously.
They're
None of
all
them, like,
single,
ends up
hot,
in
great.
just, like,
Yeah.
a series of, like, situationships or, like, in a throuple.
Yeah, well,
A throuple, as Kay
the
likes to say.
throuple, or what I think it should be called because it's more fun, throuple, they do happen in the Vancouver Agitated series because Megan Quinn is, like, super
Nice.
she's very kinky, but she's very kinky in, like, I can't explain it. Vanilla just met chocolate way, and
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's
like, they,
like
like, have a
yeah.
little throuple thrown in there, but they still always end up in, like,
Yeah,
little,
it's not
like,
like a
neat,
wide
like
shoes relationship. There's not 2 wedding rings like it was at the end of that other book that I read in preparation for the holiday romance series.
It's more like they just, like, get some stuff out of their system and then somehow end up in, like, a very generic relationship with, like, 2 kids that signed up for
Yeah,
soccer.
like they, like, tie each other up on weekends, going to a club where they're all masked and everything on a regular basis.
Oh, alright.
Yeah. So also something that was said is that in terms of hockey players, they tend so one, hockey butt is real. I can like fully vouch hockey butt is real. Like
Congratulations,
yeah.
Mr. K. But
um they overall meet what you want. Like the NHL players meet what you imagine your male leads to look like. They're tall, they're in shape, they have their nice tushies, all that. Whereas if you think about football and other sports, and I would not to like I say Jason
football is
Kelsey
more
only because he's like
diversity.
readily recognized,
Oh,
but like
not attractive to me.
like
He just
he's
is, like,
someone who everybody can picture
he's
what
kinda
he
a little
looks
too
like.
beefcakey.
But he's at the exact shape that he should have been in for the position that he
Sure,
was
sure.
in, which was, like, protecting Jalen Hurts. Like, he had to eat and lift that much to be that weight, and so that is the size, and that is an example of just calling upon one. But, that's pretty common in football that if you're gonna go with, like if you're gonna,
Mm.
like, make romance subplots over all 5 players, you're eventually gonna have to get in to, like, your enormous offensive line,
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
kind of, like,
Which,
small,
like,
nimbler.
thick boys need love too, so I feel like that is another way that we could bring in diversity, and, like, the thick defensive lineman can, like, find his love and find somebody who just really likes a man who could, like, crush her between, like, his neck and his shoulder, and then similarly, the, like, delicate little kicker can, like, end up with a woman who's
The
taller than
delicate
him.
kicker.
And, like, that would be a fun romance line for me as well. So I think that we also just need to diversify a little bit what we're willing to define as sexy. But I
Yes.
see your point because at the end of the day, romance authors are, looking for, like, what is gonna be marketable because they do have to sell books.
And just education, in case you didn't know, the offensive line in football actually tends to be, like,
Oh,
your
that's
biggest,
true.
bulkiest people because 'cause they're holding back and protecting.
No, I know. Mr. SJ is gonna be listening to this later and shaking his head because he's tried to explain a lot of things to me. He is sometimes waffling on his fantasy draft, and so I help him, both baseball and football. And I help him sometimes if he's not sure, but I just look at the pictures of the players and go off of looks
They look
alone.
confident.
Yeah, I mean, just like general sexiness, which I feel like can carry you a long way. And sometimes who has the best
Confidence.
the best
Yeah.
names too. By having a really cool name, I think that that can help you manifest sports success. Yeah.
Yeah, I was laughing because I was looking up, like, why are, like, male-on-male hockey romances, like, more common than other sports? And somebody said that hockey has homoerotic undertones.
So does football, but
And
this
I
is
kept
my
on trying to
point.
look,
They
I'm
all
like,
do.
I don't really know if hockey particularly does more than any other sport. I would say maybe baseball has, like, the smallest amount of, like, male-on-male touching,
That's
but they
true.
look so nice in their baseball
They have their little
pads.
pants,
Yeah, they
so
look
points for the little
cute,
pants in
beautiful.
baseball,
So
yeah.
cute.
They
Yeah.
have the gayest little outfit. I don't know, like, I think that you could really just, like, find something gay about, like, all of the sports, especially the way that the men do them with the locker rooms and the butt slapping and the group showering situation. I don't know, seems gay to me.
They definitely all know what each other's peonies look like.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
no question about that. Okay, so I think that we covered hockey romance.
For a few people who are interested in branching out, I've seen a few reading lists that are, if you liked Heated Rivalry, you would also like. And so, of course, we did get some of the recommendations in there of the next sort of gay hockey romances. So the Shots You Take is another Rachel Reid one that people have suggested reading. Him by Serena Brown and Elle Kennedy is
And him
another.
is Lucas recommended.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I knew I recognized that one. So I am curious though if we're branching out of hockey and we do like the sexy sports things. Any recommended reads for you in other sports, straight or gay?
Wow. I feel so embarrassed. There's obviously Pickle Your Fancy by Lucas, which is
Yeah, coming
another
soon
sport.
to a bookstore near you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like that branching out. Another one that I pulled and added to my want to read list, that I have several things that I find hot, and one as a former collegiate rower, I saw this See You at the Finish Line. This was on a recommended reads list. I haven't read it yet. It's by Zach Hammett, and it is an enemies to lovers at the Cambridge University rowing team. And
Oh, that's
so
probably cute.
there's 2 of them, and then one of them in order to keep his grades high enough to remain on the team, the other one agrees to tutor him in exchange for guidance seducing his longtime crush, Amir. And then as they are like in this like tutoring rowing situation, they somehow become more than just tutor and tutee. So see you at the finish line due to my although I never dated anybody on the crew team, that seemed like peeing where you eat. So that was a small school, small team. Never did that. But now that I'm more just nostalgically thinking about my rowing days, I could get into some gay rower smut.
So I read The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams, which was a football romance. Quarterback falls in love
Was
with
it the
best
quarterback and the
friend,
kicker?
always in love with best friend. It was 100% the quarterback. There is branch off series, but I didn't read more. And the reason why I didn't read more is because they basically finally realized that they were both in love with each other. And instead of having like any then follow on relationship or any sex beforehand, he then took her to Vegas to get married before they had sex.
Oh, it suddenly took a very Mormon turn
And he lost the Super Bowl game, but then was
because he was
like, "This is
distracted
fun. I
by
wanna
his
propose to
elopement.
you, and, like, I wanna propose to you and let you know that, like, you're my I'm
He's
in
like,
love with you."
somebody's getting a ring
And
at the end of
I was
this.
like, I don't know, like, if I were, like, his team members, I'd be like, "We just
Focus
lost the
up,
Super
dude.
Bowl game. I probably don't wanna celebrate that you're, like, getting engaged." So it pissed me off. I liked, like, the character Bree, who was the woman, and I liked that she did ballet, but I don't know.
I've heard this about romantasy, but I'm sure
The
it's true for
Vegas
other kinds of
wedding.
smut as well, that there is actually, like, low key a huge, like, evangelical Christian Mormon reader
That
group.
was definitely present.
And I think in romantasy especially, that makes sense because there is this, like they pointed out, like, the mating bond is very similar to this, like, idea that you are, like, with that person for life and that there's some kind of supernatural force that has predetermined that you are meant to be with this person. Um, General smut, I feel like it seems a little bit more just like, hey, everybody likes reading smut, and probably if you're in a boring vanilla marriage, you need something to, like, mix up your weekly, monthly, missionary sex. But yeah,
You're in the
I
middle of
guess
winter, you need smut. It's like, otherwise, I'm, like, cold and my skin's dry. Like, I need some motivation here before
does I'm
bed.
glad that it helps keep your skin moisturized,
Well,
Kay.
no, it's not just, like, otherwise, Mr. K was like, can you, like, go read some smut? You haven't been initiating as often as late." He said it in a nicer way, but, he
He's
was
like, "Just go off to your little book
he was
corner
very
and go
implicit.
read you some smut. Moisturize your
Yeah.
skin and read some smut."
He's like, "Oh, you're reading another young adult novel? Are you sure you didn't wanna read, like, an adult novel?" Definitely say that maybe I fit the stereotype because I have read football and baseball books, and I can't even really remember the names of them, but I can
You were
list
just
off, like,
busy
70
cognitive
hockey romance
offloading. Yeah,
ones.
you were just like,
Well,
"It's
and
not."
all the hockey ones I can remember,
Oh,
like,
well,
yeah.
then you
Simply
know what you
Irresistible,
like.
Rachel Gibson, my first ever entry to Smut, and that was a hockey romance. John the Wall Kowalski. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kowalski the Wall. I like it. I mean, there is like a whole separate thing that I'd like to get into. Mr. SJ knows that I don't care about learning about sports, except for I like to hear what their nicknames are because sometimes they're just like really good ones. So he tells me that, and also just dumb things that happen and no other things about sports. So
I would totally read a fanfic about Joe Burrow, but I don't wanna invade his privacy or anything. I don't know if, like, him and it's not that he thinks that I'm a match for him. "Joe, I'm sorry. I know that you want me, but I'm taken."
stop DMing me,
Yeah.
Joe.
I know that you have, like, a hot model younger girlfriend and, in, like, your multi-million-dollar house, but Joe Burrow, I mean, just look at that as a quarterback and tell me, like, why there aren't football romances written. You can do one with Jamar Chase too. This is
Oh,
not
I've
bad.
after having rated the hotness of many potential members of Mr. SJ's fantasy football team, there are a lot of hot football players out there. So honestly, romance authors, hockey is played out. I think either we need to delve into how hot football players can be. The Travis Kelsey era seems like the perfect time to explore that. Or get into some lesser known sports like pickleball, thank you, Lucas, and crew. So my final question for you, Kay, I read a really nice article in Harper's Bazaar where they were interviewing some of the most popular romance authors of our day for their opinions on kind of how they thought Heated Rivalry did as a adaptation of the book. And several of them, including some of our queens, Allie Hazelwood and BK Borison, were saying that they hoped that this really just like prompts seeing the success of this when people are like, "Oh, nobody wants to hear about, like, a man falling in love with a man," is like, okay, obviously people do want more diverse love stories. And so, the recommendation is, like, we need to be supporting authors who are writing these books, but also be vocal about what you love and what you wanna see on the screen. And, in Ali
Liz
Hazelwood's
Tomforde, Mile High.
there you go. And
Yeah.
when, Ali Hazelwood, um, said this, she gave an example of a lot of books that she thinks are right for adaptation. Her examples were all really interesting because they were, like, very like, oh, set in there it was a lot of more, like, the romantasy kind of stuff, like, things on the quirkier side, LGBT characters. So, as far as, like, what you think Hollywood needs to get a bit out of the box in producing as the next romance series. What's some of your suggestions?
So Liz Tomforde, Mile High, that is like a hot hockey player and a flight attendant. I mean, a team's flight attendant that's like personal to the private jet. But that is like a black, very curvy woman.
Love
And
it.
everybody loves her. Like, if you look up, like, the book, everybody really, really likes that main character. She has, like, a
Mhm.
great personality, she's great to read, and I think that people would love to see it on screen. And I think that they would love to see not they doesn't have to be I mean, it's fine if it is a skinny actress because that's what's best for the
Mhm.
role and that's who they found, but it's described several times that, like, she goes out and guys are like, "Oh, you left me with the fat one." And all that, and then instead, like, the male lead comes in and is like, "How dare you say that? She is, like, the sexiest person here."
Good. No,
And
then
people
we
wanna
have to
see
cast a
that.
curvy
Yeah.
actress because yeah, I think that we need more representation there as well. And to yeah, like talk about the amount of like there are hot people who are not size zeros and don't have the like physique of a
Yeah.
12-year-old.
Who was that cookbook? Rachel?
Rachel Ray?
Yeah, Rachel Ray? She was so beautiful, and she was always very curvy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's beautiful. Sure. I never
Yeah.
thought about fucking her, but
Well, I'm
also
gonna
her on-screen
I'm
persona
gonna
is kind of annoying. Like the
a
delish
man who
person.
I know says that her voice is like the
Oh,
sirens.
I do. Okay, she does have a sexy voice. All right, all right. Yeah, that's true. She is definitely like not a size zero type. So, how about from the romantasy genre? Because I think that there's a lot of
I just think that
opportunity there.
romantasy is so hard because even
It can come
though
across
I
as
want
cheesy.
it to be made into, like, movies and TV shows, I just feel like they're gonna do, like it's like, give it a Game of Thrones budget, but you're not gonna give a romantasy a Game of Thrones budget. So, like, I just like, the obvious ones are that I think Prime has a deal to make Fourth Wing into a
Yeah,
series.
yeah. With Michael B. Jordan's production company, so I feel like
Oh, that's pretty
I
cool.
feel like there's a better chance of it being hot with Michael B. Jordan involved.
Well, thank you, Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
But I do worry about anything that's romantasy, and that's
This is a good
just
point. It
uh
does just, like, require a lot more budget, so it requires an upfront investment and then people really sticking through with it. I did read the Wheel of Time books, which is fantasy, not romantasy, by Robert Jordan, and liked them as a kid, or like a teenager, reread them as an adult, and found his, writing of female characters a little bit lacking. So I was very excited when they were turning it into a show because I was like, then you can get women involved in the production, and they did do such a better job with the female characters who are the, like, main people in the book for the most part and, like, the more powerful people in this world. And they had characters that in, like, Robert Jordan's books, you're like, "Obviously, these 2 are lesbians. They're part of this group of, like, magic sorceresses that, like, can only be around other women." And so, like, obviously a bunch of them are lesbian. So the 2 characters that, like, everybody knew, but he just kinda, like, hints at that he's like, "They were pillow friends," whatever that means. He's like, he was older. That they, like, actually hold that love story, and it was so good, and they did give it, like, a huge budget, because, like, the special effects and the magic-y part of it were, like, not cheesy, and then they canceled it after, I don't know, 2, 3 seasons, but it's, like, a 14-book series, and they got me all invested in it and had, like, beautiful people cast in it, like, beautiful scenes where they were filming everything, and then they canceled it. So, I'm also learning that I'm not gonna get invested in any show until I know that it is gonna just gonna wait till they're over and binge watch them.
So
Except for you, Heated Rivalry, because I couldn't not be on the
support you
social
from day
media
one.
train. Yes, and like Ali Hazelwood says, if you love a book, support that author. invest in that author financially, watch their show when it gets made into a show, and leave a review for your favorite podcast.
Yes. And Draco Malfoy and the mortifying ordeal of being in love. I want it to be made into a movie in some way that does not benefit J.K. Rowling.
Oh, well, I
It
feel
is
like the
so
fact
good.
that it is like fanfic and not in like, her storyline universe at all, would
Smile
hate
on
it.
every single page. It was so delightful. It's so funny. It's so joyful and so full of love.
Okay, well, upcoming Harry Potter fanfic episode, fanfic only, nothing that
Yeah.
benefits J.K. Rowling. We will
Just
be
download
reviewing
the
them.
direct fanfic.
Sounds so much
So,
better anyway because of the romance, as we've discussed in Harry Potter.
yes, we all knew that Hermione deserved better than Ron.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We're enjoying. I don't know if we're enjoying 2026 so far, but we're enjoying.
It's a dumpster fire. We're
2026.
enjoying being with good girls in 2026 and no other parts. Love ya!
Thank you.